Good morning. Today is Friday, April 9th, 2021, and this is your coffee break update. As always, I am Marshall Haprov with you. I am the communications specialist for the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District, as well as the chair-elect for the Board of Directors for the Greater High Desert Chamber of Commerce. And we are thrilled, as always, that you are taking a little bit of time out of your Friday morning to spend it with us. We have lined up a great program for you this morning. We're going to stray a little bit from our normal updates, and we've invited a few guests to come and give us some updates on a couple of other things going on in our region. Before we get to that, I wanted to take a moment and remember the life of our friend Anthony Rhodes, who passed away last weekend. Anthony was absolutely a fixture quite often at the Hesperia Chamber of Commerce Friday morning coffee. He was a member of the Chamber of Commerce, I think since 2017 with his company. He's been here he was here in the High Desert for a very long time. And in talking to numerous people over this last week, one thing is absolutely very clear. It was something that I thought and I felt about Anthony, and it very much is abundantly clear that no matter any of our politics or no matter where we align, seeing someone with a heart for trying to make a change and trying to make our desert better was very clear in Anthony. It was abundantly clear in Anthony. Midge Nicosia on Facebook just a couple days ago, I think said it best. She said he was a very sweet person. He definitely wanted to make a difference in his community. Even if he didn't agree with politics, you had to love his heart and caring nature. He was soft-spoken and had a heart for those in need. So if you would just join me for just a moment as we remember Anthony Rhodes. Thank you for joining me in that. We will continue with our program this morning. As I said, we have several different presentations than we normally have for you, but we will start with one of our usuals. Introduce to you the President and CEO of the Greater High Desert Chamber of Commerce, Mark Creffield, and he's going to update us on all things Chamber. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Marshall. Thank you very much. Before I'll have Shannon advance the next slide, one slide I forgot to include in my update is our next Legislative Action Committee will be coming up on next Thursday, April 15th at 9 a.m. The invites for that will go out in our e-blast today, as well as we'll do another invite early next week. So we hope to see you all. We will be receiving updates from the various elected officials' offices, Congressman Jay Obernolte, Senator Scott Wilk, Assemblyman Smitty Smith, and Supervisor Paul Cook. So we hope you'll join us for that. Want to mention our next virtual after hours mixer will be coming up on Tuesday, April 20th at 5 p.m. For those of you that attended our previous mixer, it was really a wonderful time, and we hope to see double the amount of people at this one. We want to thank our special sponsor, Family Assistance Program, for being our presenting sponsor for this virtual mixer. Next up, our next coffee break update. We'll be back here on Zoom on Friday, April 23rd. We currently do not have any sponsorships, so anybody that would like to sponsor this event, please put your business name or your name in the chat with your phone number, and I will reach out to you and confirm your sponsorship. And lastly, just wanted to mention, I think we mentioned at our last coffee break 2 weeks ago that our first annual High Desert Regional Open Golf Tournament is coming up on Friday, June 25th at 9 a.m. All of the golf is already sold out. The word of mouth and the returning sponsors just gobbled up every opportunity. But if you're a non-golfer, we still have some opportunities for you to be involved. We have what's called a business showcase sponsorship, where you have the opportunity to actually set up on a hole and be able to greet the 128 golfers that will pass by you throughout the day. If you'd like to just do a T-sign sponsorship, we have some opportunities there as well, and we're going to be looking for raffle prizes. So if anyone's interested in anything golf related, also put that information in the chat, and I will get back to you with that information. Thank you very much, Marshall, and back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for that update, Mark. By the way, I don't think you said the words, but I just wanted to clarify, golf tournament in person, right? Not a virtual golf tournament.
Correct. We will be in person at Spring Valley Lake Country Club playing golf.
So I'm going to have to get used to seeing you in person again. Okay, good. I have a lot of time to plan. Thank you. All right. I failed to mention, but I wanted to absolutely say thank you to our sponsors this week, which is kind of weird because one of those is the Electric Lawn and Garden Equipment Exchange, which happens to be the Mojave Desert AQMB. So I feel weird saying thank you to myself, but I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit. I also wanted to say thank you to MTE Electric for being one of our sponsors for this week's Coffee Break Update. Our first of 3 presentations for you this morning is going to be from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. We're going to hear about the Racial and Identity Profiling Act, and here to talk to us about that is Deputy Sheriff Greg Jones. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I wanted to just quickly, I was asked to do a presentation on the RIPA Act. Recently, within the last couple of weeks, our department put together a very short PSA, public service announcement on the explanation of RIPA. RIPA came about in 2018 when 8 of the largest law enforcement agencies in the state of California were mandated to start tracking their contacts, specifically contacts related to search and seizure and detentions of anyone that we might stop. With that being said, it has progressed into from 8 to I believe we're right at about 18 agencies within the state of California as of today. The goal would be to get all the agencies on board, and that's what the RIPA board is attempting to do. With that being said, we have put together some numbers from the statistical year of 2019. The 2020 data is not complete yet. We have not received the data back from the Department of Justice. So when that happens, we will be putting that out. Our Sheriff's Information Exchange Committee that the sheriff meets with once a quarter received the video. We posted it on YouTube, and I was asked to come and show everyone here what that is about. So if you have any questions after, I'll be free to answer any and all questions that I possibly can.
Sounds good. I just wanted to point out real quick that if you do have questions following this presentation, please direct them using the chat function in Zoom to Shannon, and as time allows, we will get those questions over to Deputy Jones.
I just want to add something that on the RIPA, the key aspect of that is the perceived. So the perception from the deputy standpoint to the individual that we are coming in contact with. We cannot ask them any verified information based on their driver's license or personal information. It's only on the deputy's perception. So that is key. And the key word also within that is also veil of darkness. So our numbers within our county are very, very extremely close in numbers, less than 1%. I believe it's between 2.2 and 0.3%. And the other aspect is the information that we're gathering is vital to let the commanders know of each station within each city know that what the officers are actually doing out on the street. Are they making unusual higher stops in certain communities and not others? So this is going to help us benefit with our training, our education, and our contacts with the community, which is always a positive goal, better contacts.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. That's an excellent video. And thank you for the presentation all around. We appreciate it. Shannon, do we have any questions for Deputy Jones?
No, we do not.
All right. Sounds like you covered it well. So if there's nothing else to add, I'll say thank you again, Deputy Jones and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department for joining us this morning and for bringing us up to speed on that program. I also wanted, yeah.
It's me, Oscar Elemento. I'm sorry. Good morning to everybody.
Morning,
I'm
Oscar.
on a phone, so I can't type. I have a question for Deputy Jones, if you don't mind, or are we out of time?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Deputy Jones, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning. Good to see
Good
you.
morning. Yeah, same here. Pleasure to see you again. I have a quick question. Can you walk us through what a routine stop would be? I haven't been stopped for a very long time. But what is the approach if, say, you pulled me over? What am I expecting through this RIPA training, or because I've had, I think, an initial profiling class, which is one of the first classes I met you in, and then I think I followed one or two smaller classes in regards to the same thing here. But if that's something you can kind of just elaborate a little bit more on, what would be a approach on a stop if I was the person that was being stopped? Can you say something about that or no?
Yes, I definitely can. I appreciate that. Actually, if you're stopped, there's a difference between a consensual contact, right, and a detention. And a detention is when that person is not free to leave of their own free will. Sort of like in a traffic stop, where you hear you see the lights and you hear the siren. You're supposed to pull over to the right immediately when safe to do so. When the officer comes in contact with that person, the officer should present him or herself with their name, their department, or the city or station that they represent. They should give the reason for the stop or the violation, or the perceived reason for the violation, and ask the person for their driver's license, insurance, and registration information. From that point, they will explain. They usually ask, "What's the reason? Why were they speeding, or why did they roll through the stop sign or not stop?" Try to get some justification from that. At that point, the officer has the discretion. It's up to the officer's discretion if it is an infraction on whether to cite the person or to give them a verbal warning. They'll go back to their unit. They will run that person's, whether it be a California driver's license or other out-of-state driver's license. And then from that point, they'll remake contact with that person, either issue the verbal warning or issue a physical citation. After the officer is done with the contact and that person leaves, then the officer go back to his or her unit, and they will put the information into the RIPA. And that is where the perception comes from. What was the reason for the stop? What was the outcome of the stop? Whether or not a warning or citation was issued, whether a warning was provided and the violation cited, whether that person was arrested or offense was charged, whether the perceived race, ethnicity, gender, approximate age of the person, and whether or not the deputy asked for consent to search the person or consent to search the vehicle. And then they go about the rest of their day. But the biggest aspect of that is we are supposed to be courteous at all times. I understand that some deputies are not courteous, and I understand that it's not, and there's no exception for that. But the goal of RIPA is to try to identify what is being perceived by the officers. Are they stopping, let's say, are they stopping mostly African Americans or Latin, or I'm sorry, Latinx? Or are they stopping more Asian Americans, or are they stopping more Caucasians? So.
Okay. And just to add to that really quick, if again, I'm pulled over in a situation where, I mean, what would call for the officer to say, I'm going to search your vehicle? And even to the point where I turn around and say, well, no, I don't allow you to search my vehicle or nothing like that. With that, and again, RIPA's based on, I'm assuming, people saying, hey, you pulled me over because I fit the description, which I remember once upon a time, I fit the description. You know, so I mean, my feelings towards police to now that I'm older and I'm going to say more professional, obviously it's changed. And, you know, obviously officers like yourself that have helped me change the mentality. But if we didn't know people like yourself, professional, courteous, and then, you know, again, being a Latino, I'm going to jump into, oh my God, you pulled me over again because I'm bald and I fit the description type deal. At what point does it escalate to let me search your vehicle type of conversation?
That's, you know, that's a really good question. I would say that the officers have the discretion to ask anyone, you know, do you have any weapons? And I normally would ask, is there any weapons in the car, anything I need to worry about? The officers are going into the contact with an officer safety standpoint. At times I've had people tell me, yeah, I have guns. The guns are in the back seat, or guns, you know, they just blurt it out. Or they say, they get nervous and yeah, there's drugs in the car. But the officer has the option of just requesting, hey, do you mind if I search the vehicle, or would you mind stepping out of the vehicle? If that person, and we also have the option of asking the person, are you on probation or parole? Right. Somebody who is on parole, if we ask, initially they are supposed to identify themselves as being on parole. Not everybody does that. So it's very common, regardless of the race, regardless of the age, the gender, to ask very commonly, is anybody in the vehicle on probation or parole? It's not meant to be disrespectfully, it's just a very common question. I understand how sometimes that can be perceived as you're saying it because I am, let's say I'm African American, I'm Black, or I'm Latin or Latinx, or I'm Hispanic, or I'm Asian. Prior to my law enforcement, even in my law enforcement career, I've been stopped and the same thing. So I think the biggest thing is if somebody does not feel that they're in the right, that they don't want their vehicle searched, then say, that's my right not to do that. That's fine. If that person has like a suspended license or something if they have violated the law, and that person is asking you to step out of the vehicle, or a suspension where the vehicle is going to be towed, or if they anything like that, then they're going to go through the motions. Asking that person to step out, I'm going to search the vehicle. I'm not going to. And a lot of times, if it is a suspension on the registration for more than 30 days, or a driver's license, those things can happen. And they will do an inventory check of the vehicle to make sure everything's inside the vehicle when they tow the vehicle, so when the person picks it up. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you for jumping in to ask that, Oscar, and thank you for the answers, Deputy Jones. One last quick question for you before we let you go. Do you by chance, and if not, we totally understand, do you by chance have an update for us on the deputy who was Dustin, I believe, who was shot in Hesperia? Yes,
actually, Deputy Whitson is still in critical condition. Please keep him in your prayers, keep the medical staff in your prayers, and especially his family. He is actually alert, still in critical condition, fighting for his life. On that particular stop, those are the kind of reasons why we ask if there's any kind of weapons in the vehicle. Those are the type of reasons, because you never know. There's never one stop that's always the same. And every officer wants to go home like every other person wants to go home. But thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you for that update. And thank you again for the presentation this morning. We appreciate it. I also wanted to say a quick thank you, actually a big thank you to Sam That with State of the City presentations. He helped us out getting the technical side of our presentation together and running this morning. So thank you so much, Sam, for doing that. I know you're on the call, so I wanted to make sure and let you know that we are grateful for you. All right, I want to introduce you to one of our sponsors this morning for our coffee break update. We have joining us from MTE Electric, Michael Eidenberger. Good morning, Michael. You just need to unmute yourself, Michael.
Okay, there we go. Good morning.
There we go. Good morning.
Yeah. I'll make it short. I guess this is where I'm supposed to talk a little.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll make it short. I apologize for having you on the phone. We have the kids in Zoom and everything else eating up bandwidth. We're a local electrical contractor and we service the residential. I mean, we don't service residential. We only service commercial for the Victor Valley area. We do restaurants, everything from restaurants to parking lot lights, to interior lighting, to controls, to actually we're doing your car charging stations over there at the AQMD. We're servicing those.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we do car charging station services. I think we're the only ones doing that in the high desert. And like I said, I apologize. The kids are in Zoom. They're eating up the bandwidth. We're on the phone. But we just want to introduce ourselves as the commercial electrical contractor up here.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your work on the chargers here at our offices. And
Okay.
Thank you for.
Oh, I was just going to give you just a little background. I'm 25
Sure.
years in Los Angeles Community College District. So that's what my experience is commercial service. We can, we can handle everything from transformers on up. We're not a residential contractor. Our background does not come from the residential side. So we focus strictly on commercial. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for sponsoring this week's coffee break update. If you would like to be a sponsor of a future coffee break update, by all means, either put your information in the chat and let us know, or reach out to Mark Creffield and he will tell you how easy it is to be a sponsor of the coffee break update. Also, speaking of the chat, while we're at it, if you wouldn't mind, we didn't do this at the start of the program this morning, but if you would take just a quick moment, we'll keep our program moving, but introduce yourself, your name and your company in the chat window. That would be great. I know a couple have already done that, so thank you for that. Thank you once again, thank you to MTE Electric for sponsoring. We have another update for you, one that's not one that we don't have every week here. We're going to hear from the office of First District Supervisor Paul Cook, excuse me. And here to do that for us is his district director, Kimberley Mesen. Good morning, Kimberley.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me today. So I just have a really quick update to things that I thought would be of interest to everyone who's on the call, and just something that our office has gotten a lot of calls and questions about as well. So micro enterprise home kitchen operations, also known as MICOs, is something that came up to the board on Tuesday. And I just wanted to provide a small update on that if you have not all seen what happened on the board meeting on Tuesday. But the board did decide, they voted all together and asked county staff if they can bring back a program that would allow for MICOs to operate temporary to kind of just test out potential impacts. There's 3 months that were given to county staff to go ahead and bring a program back. The county supervisors also asked if we could reach out to our counterparts in the legislative side to see if they're able to modify the legislation a bit so that cities and towns are able to opt out should they like. This is something that we received a lot of feedback on, both from constituents and from our cities and towns in our district. So I just wanted to provide a small update on that. Also, the county received federal funds to help with emergency rental assistance. If you go on to the Community Development and Housing Department website with the county, you are prompted right away as soon as you log onto that website, how to sign up if you're interested either as a tenant or a landlord in those funds to help with rental assistance and utilities as well. It says that in April there would be more information. However, there isn't a specific date, and unfortunately I don't have that specific date for you, but once it comes out, I will notify everyone. But if you are interested in those emergency funds, I do highly recommend that you go onto the website and click on the link that's on there and input your information, and you'll receive more information on that as those funds go out and in what specific date they will be released. Other than that, that's really the only update that I have. I do just want to, jump the gun a little bit before Ms. Cardona and say that we did move on to the orange tier, and we're very proud of that. I won't go into detail because she's going to provide an update on that. We just want to thank everyone who has been a partner in this and making sure that we're able to safely reopen and just also provide their services to the community, our faith-based community, our school superintendents, Arrowhead Medical Center, and County Health as well. So thank you for that. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to let me know and I'd be happy to answer them.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kim, for that update. Yeah, moving into the orange tier was absolutely wonderful news this week. Shannon, do we have any questions for Kim and for Supervisor Paul Cook's office?
Nope, not at this time.
Alrighty, if we get any, we'll shoot them your way, Kim. Thank you so much for updating us this morning. All right, I previewed this a few minutes ago. It's weird to say thank you to the Mojave Desert AQMD for sponsoring this week's coffee break update, but I'll say it anyways. And even I'm not going to be the one to tell you about the electric lawn and garden equipment exchange. I'm going to introduce to you the very handsome, smart, bright, just all around good dude. My boss, and those things weren't just because he's my boss, of course not. The communications supervisor for the Mojave Desert AQMD, Ryan Orr. What's up, boss man?
Thank you, Marshall. I think you should know by the amount of time we've been working together that my memory will not serve the next 3 months of this compliment, and that is when your review is. So continue, a little closer to when that comes up. Right. Good morning, everyone. Here to talk quickly about our lawn and garden exchange equipment exchange program. Many of you may be familiar, we've had a one-day event for many decades in which you can trade in your gas-powered trimmer, mower, or weed whacker for a electric equivalent at a highly reduced price. And it grew in popularity every year, topping out at somewhere around 280 people in a single day exchanging equipment. And due to that fact, we actually changed vendors and partnered last year, was our pilot year, among many other things that happened last year, with Still, which you may be familiar with for their very good reputation in building lawn and garden equipment, chainsaws. And so what that program did was make it available to residents for a much longer period of time. We had actually originally planned on year round, but the funding lasted only 3 months because so many people took advantage of the program. And we included 7 vendors. So in the chat here, I'm going to put our website that goes directly to our website, which lists the phone numbers and all of the equipment, including the pricing. And to give you an example, a mower that is self-propelling, all electric, is $305 under the program if you bring in a gas-powered working equivalent to turn in and be destroyed so that we can reduce those emissions. But MSRP on that is $619.99. You can get a weed whacker for $75. It's regularly $200. A blower for $75. That's also regularly $200. So these discounts are amazing, and we've all used the equipment. The equipment stands up to anything you can throw at it. The biggest of yards, the biggest pile of leaves you got to blow off your driveway. This stuff really is powerful. We also have displays in our lobby, and our doors just opened yesterday to the public again. So if anyone wants to come take a look, you're more than happy to reach out to me or Marshall, or just pop in and see what these machines look like before you sign up for the exchange. If you live in Barstow, that's the only place where we do not have a vendor, but we are holding a one-day event this Saturday that you can sign up for ahead of time. And basically it's a drive-through exchange. So there'll be people there to take your old equipment out, put the new one in. You'll already be pre-registered and paid. and it's in and out. So if you don't want to do that, then you can go to the website I posted and check out all of the vendors that are available. And just to end real quickly, I'm going to give you some stats from last year's STILL program, just to give you the significance of what these events mean to our clean air, because it may seem insignificant when you're talking about lawn and garden equipment, but last year we exchanged more than 700 total units, and the lawnmowers alone, which were around 350, removed more than 21 tons of emissions from the high desert air. And that roughly 42,700 pounds. The EPA actually estimates that gas-powered mowers contribute 5% of all U.S. air pollution, and indicates more than 17 million gallons of fuel, mostly gasoline, is spilled each year while refueling lawn equipment. So this is no small thing. I mean, we're not the only air district that does it. Actually, a majority of the air districts across the state do it. South Coast does it. There are commercial programs. So we really encourage you to take advantage of it, because not only are you going to get better equipment at a much reduced price, but you're also going to breathe a lot easier, and your kids are going to be breathing a lot easier, and it's good for everyone. So Marshall, I'm going to kick it back to you in case I missed anything. Otherwise, feel free to reach out, call me or Marshall, or all the information you need is on the website that I posted.
No, I think you covered it. Yeah, head to that website and that's got all the information you need. Thank you so much for doing that, Ryan. And thank you, us, for sponsoring this week's Coffee Break Update. All right, we have one more presentation for you this morning. Kim from Supervisor Cook's office alluded to it during her presentation. We have joining us for an update on the vaccination progress in our county, Deputy Public Information Officer with the County of San Bernardino, Felisa Cardona. Good morning, Felisa.
Good morning. It's great to be with you all this morning. I'm just going to get right into it to give you some information on our vaccine rollout. On Wednesday, the county, as you know, entered the orange tier, which means the spread of COVID-19 is now reduced to a moderate level. Currently, the positivity rate in our county is 1.8%, which is in the yellow tier zone, but we need to have a case rate of under 2 per 100,000 to go into yellow. Currently, we are at 3.4 cases per 100,000. So we're headed down. We hope to continue this downward trend so that we can get more businesses to reopen and allow more capacity inside venues. So far, the county has received more than 700,000 doses of Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines. More than 600,000 vaccines doses have been distributed by San Bernardino County providers. So we are diligently working our way through getting our population vaccinated as quickly as possible. The Board of Supervisors decided on Tuesday to go ahead and open eligibility to everybody 16 years and older. That's about a week and a half earlier than the state had said they would open that eligibility. So we were happy to provide those services for everybody. Please keep in mind that teenagers age 16 and 17 may only get the Pfizer vaccine. That's the only vaccine that is approved for use in teenagers age 16 and 17. So they are not eligible to receive Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines at this time. The Pfizer vaccine is only offered at county public health sites or state OptumServe sites. So if you're thinking you can go to Walgreens or CVS or Costco or an urgent care center to get a vaccine for your 16 or 17-year-old, that will not be the case. It's only 18 plus because of Pfizer's deep freeze storage requirements. The county public health sites and state sites are in the position to keep those vaccines stored and able to disseminate from our sites only. So I just want to put that out there in case you're getting your teenagers ready to get vaccinated. We are administering vaccines with equity in mind. We're focusing on vaccinating people in our hardest hit communities, holding pop-up clinics in far-flung areas of the county, conducting bilingual town halls. We've been working with the Guatemalan consulate, the Mexican consulate, the Indonesian consulate, and vaccinating the homeless. So we've been doing a lot of outreach, trying to make sure that we get everybody vaccinated that wants to be vaccinated. On Saturday, we are having a one-dose Johnson & Johnson event. 1,000 appointments were opened up at San Manuel Stadium in San Bernardino. We opened that appointment system yesterday around 1:30, and they were gone by 5 o'clock. So those appointments are going quickly. However, I checked our site this morning, and I can share my screen and kind of show you our vaccine website. If you go to sbcovid19.com/vaccine, you'll see this orange button that says appointments. And when you click on that, it'll give you a list of all the sites where there are appointments available, and they're spread throughout the county. So we have some in Apple Valley. We have some, I'm trying to get through here, in Hesperia. We have some in Victorville. So we do have quite a number, Joshua Tree. So we have quite a number in the high desert. We also have them available at our hospitals, ARMC family clinics. So I urge you to go through and kind of take a look at what we offer here on our site. Another thing I wanted to show you while I have this up and open is our vaccination dashboard. And this shows all of our data so far. You can find the number of vaccines administered by dose. You can find the number of residents vaccinated. So you may be wondering about the discrepancy between these two numbers. So this lower number here says 614,000 doses administered. That's by San Bernardino County providers, but 860,000 doses have been given to county residents so far. So what that means is you may live in Hesperia, but you may work in LA County. And so if you like work as a firefighter in LA County, you may have been vaccinated there, but you're still counted as a county resident. So that is why you'll see those two numbers differing. So we've had 860,000 doses given to county residents. We also have information on the number of residents vaccinated, our vaccine coverage rate. 35% have received a vaccine. We have demographic information, race, ethnicity, gender. We have vaccine coverage rate by ethnicity, race, gender, age. We have a zip code guide to show kind of how we've been doing vaccinating certain communities. We also have it down by zip code. We have our what's called Healthy Places Index equity zones. The quartile 1 is red, which means these are the areas that are deemed the most needy for vaccines, the most that have disparities to public health. And so if you click in there, you can kind of see our efforts in trying to close that gap between those communities and the communities that are highlighted in blue, which are considered more affluent, more economically stable. And finally, we have a list of all the providers in the county that are handling vaccines. So that's just for information, so you can see how widely these are being distributed throughout the county. You can see some of your medical clinics and pharmacies on this list that are distributing vaccines. So I'm glad I was able to share my screen with you because I'm not really very tech savvy about Zoom, but I'm glad that you were able to see it. So I urge you all to make an appointment. It's very important that we get people vaccinated. It's good for the community. It brings the rate of infection down. We have had 0 adverse effects, serious adverse effects reported from the vaccine in our county since we've been administering in late December. So it's already what, April. So we haven't had anybody get very, very sick from vaccines. So of course, some people have side effects like fatigue, headache, things like that, but nothing serious so far in our county. And so I just kind of want to go briefly over what the orange tier means, which you probably already know since you're all business people. But retailers, malls, grocery stores can operate at 100% capacity with modifications. Of course, that means masking and social distancing. Museums, zoos, aquariums, movie theaters, restaurants can now open indoors at 50% capacity. Let's see, gyms now at 25% capacity. Bowling alleys, family entertainment centers can now open at 25% capacity. I know some of those capacity limits increase according to the state website if all of the patrons either test or have proof that they've been fully vaccinated. I would urge you to visit the state's website. They have a very good search engine that I use quite a bit myself to look up some of the requirements under the blueprint. And that way, if you have any questions about capacity, about the guidelines for your business, this is the place to look. A lot of people come to the county to find out what those are, but really we're just following what the state has issued. So you're better off getting it from the horse's mouth at the state website. And that website is covid19.ca.gov. There's some outdoor entertainment and recreation venues that will resume outdoor and indoor events coming up here on April 15th. Again, those capacity limits vary depending on the size of the venue and also depending on whether the patrons are tested and or can show proof of full vaccination. So again, I would urge you to take a look at the state site to find out about that. But that is a good thing for stuff like sports and concerts and all those things that we have really missed out on over the last year. So now that I've told you everything about the orange tier and the yellow tier and how great we're doing, the governor said at a press conference earlier this week that he is going to be doing away with the blueprint for a safer economy and doing away with the color-coded system on June 15th and reopening California's economy to pre-pandemic levels. That is if under two conditions, and one is that hospitalizations remain low and vaccine supply remains sufficient. So those are the two conditions that he cited. So we're hopeful and we hope that our numbers continue to go down and that we don't have to close anything down again and that everything will be safe for everybody. Again, I wanted to go back to our COVID page to, let's see, SB COVID. I wanted to show you all where the appointments are again. If you haven't made one yet, it's sbcovid19.com/vaccine and click this appointment box here and they will come up. And we hope to continue holding more events. We're hoping to expand them into other areas of the county. So if you haven't been vaccinated yet, please do so as soon as possible. And that's all from me unless you have questions.
Thank you so much for that. We sincerely appreciate the update. Of course, we hear in the news and we see on all of our feeds and we hear from each other constantly about the different things going on. So it's good to get a structured update. We appreciate it. We do have one question so far, and I'm not even sure that you can answer this, but we'll try it anyway. What is the difference between Johnson & Johnson and the Pfizer or Moderna? And now I know the simple answer to that question is one is for the Johnson & Johnson is one dose as opposed to two for the other two. But the question goes further. Why is it only one? So why is Johnson & Johnson only one versus two necessary for Pfizer and Moderna.
Right. Well, I'm not sure from a scientific perspective why Pfizer and Moderna have a 2-shot dose and why Johnson & Johnson is only one. But I can tell you the difference between the two, between the three, really. So Pfizer is a 2-dose vaccine that needs to be taken 21 days apart. And that one has to be stored at way below freezing levels. So it's very difficult to transport and to store. You have to have these giant freezers and all of this structure in order to keep it ready and able to administer. The Moderna vaccine is also a 2-dose vaccine, and that has to be disseminated 28 days apart. And that one does require a regular freezer, which is not as cumbersome as Pfizer's deep freeze requirements. Those two vaccines only conducted trials for 18 and above, age 18 plus. So Moderna and Johnson & Johnson only conducted trials for the vaccine 18 plus. So the only vaccine that's available to people 16 and 17 is Pfizer. That doesn't mean that the other two are not safe. It just means that the trials were not conducted in those age groups. Right now, Moderna and Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson are conducting clinical trials in a range of ages from 6 months all the way up to 16 years old to see how the vaccine is, if it works, if it's safe. And they anticipate, and I'm just speaking from listening to the CDC, they anticipate that sometime in late fall, those vaccines will be ready for children. Now, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a 1-shot, one and done vaccine. It does not have to be frozen. It just needs to be refrigerated. So it's a very, very easy vaccine to use. We found that particularly for our homeless population, people who may be in a shelter this week may not be there 3 weeks from now. So if we're able to give them a 1-shot vaccine, they're protected and they don't have to come back for a second. But as far as the molecular makeup and what's different between the three, I could not tell you because I'm not a scientist. But hopefully that helps explain the difference between the three.
Yeah, that I think that at least gets us part of the way. So thank you for that. Thank you for that answer. Lisa Ibarra Fernandez, I see that you have your hand raised. Let's see here. I'm trying to unmute. I don't know if we can or not.
I'm sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay, not a problem. Good to know. All right, so I think it was only the one question then.
Okay,
so
only one? Wow, that's pretty good.
Unless you got any more since
Oscar.
that time.
I don't, but Oscar's got his hand up.
People need to put their questions in the chat, which would make it much easier for Shannon.
Where is Oscar here? Oscar, you should be able to.
I'm here. Thank you, guys. Again, I'm sorry. I'm on a phone, so I can't. I don't know. I'm going to raise my hand. Sorry, guys. Really quick, Felisa, in regards to the COVID-19 website we're talking about, does it, for the listings of where you can get the vaccines, does it tell you what vaccine they're providing?
Yes.
You know, at specific? Perfect.
Yes, it does. So for every site, we try to list what's available. So if you come to a county public health site, it's going to be Pfizer, unless otherwise indicated. We do have some pop-up clinics where we're using Johnson & Johnson, but for the fixed regular sites, we're using Pfizer.
Okay. And just to add to that really quick, so I'm looking to go, I want to do the Johnson & Johnson, you know, that's just my preference. Does the website or the listing say, or they say, do they have multiple options sometimes? And
I haven't yet seen multiple options.
Okay.
But keep in mind, some of the pharmacies and some of the clinics may offer that.
Just off the top of your head, do you know if anywhere up here in this area or high desert area, are they offering Johnson & Johnson like at the Walgreens? Or I know we talked about the freezers and all that stuff. And anything up here that would stop me from going down the hill?
Well, you may have to wait a little bit longer. And I say that because we got a lot of Johnson & Johnson in this week. And so we've distributed that, but we were notified by the state earlier this week that next week's distribution will not include, there will be a sharp reduction in Johnson & Johnson. So it may be a couple more weeks before we have another batch to put out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, everybody. Felisa, gracias.
Thank you. And thank you, Felisa. Last quick question, and then we'll let you go. Does the county have an anticipated date or kind of ballpark for full vaccination in our county?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I don't. I mean, it really depends on the public because once the doses start to flow, and it's not like getting a Rolling Stones concert ticket to get an appointment. I think once the doses start to flow, we'll start to see where the gaps are because right now the demand is so high that it's hard for us to kind of see what the future holds. We've been looking at other states where they've gotten a lot of people vaccinated and now it's open to everybody and they're having trouble getting people in. And so we're hoping that doesn't happen here. We're hoping that a lot of the population wants to do this. It doesn't just protect you. It also protects your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends, your family, because if you're not carrying that virus, if you don't get the virus, you're not going to spread it. So it also keeps our hospitals open and free for patients that need care. And it helps us open our businesses. So even if, you don't think COVID can make you sick or you think you're healthy and young enough to get through a COVID, it's not really necessarily about you personally. It's about our shared collective health. And so that's something I kind of want to make sure I get the message out on, because I think a lot of times we tend to think of our own health, but I'm hoping that people will also think about the health of their community and everybody around them.
Amen. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Felisa. Thank you for that answer and the presentation and the update. We sincerely appreciate it. Hopefully next time we talk, we have even better news to hear from the county. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for joining us. Want to again thank us, Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District and the Electric Lawn and Garden Equipment Exchange, as well as MTE Electric for sponsoring this week's Coffee Break Update. If you want to be a sponsor of a future Coffee Break, contact Mark Creffield. We will be here with you again on Zoom at 9 a.m. on Friday, April 23rd. That's 2 weeks from today. That'll be 2 weeks closer to our first in-person event at the golf tournament. Get all that information and more by searching Greater High Desert Chamber of Commerce on Facebook or going to the website, ghdcc.com. So that is it for all of us today. Again, I want to thank all our presenters and for the great information. Mark is going to give, I think now everybody a chance to unmute yourself and say hello and goodbye.
Yeah, now everybody can talk.
So I'll say have a great weekend, be safe, be healthy, and we will see you here on Zoom in 2 weeks for the next Coffee Break Update.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather.
Great weekend.
Good to see
Thanks
you
for all the great
Friday.
information. Great. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the sunshine.
Take care, everybody.
Sue, David, Jenny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey.
We're just saying hi to everybody.
Hey, Eric.
All right, now bye.
Bye, everybody. Oh, I would have removed Eric a long time ago. See you, everybody.